After very poor community reception with the release of the Elite 2.0 line in 2020, Hasbro tried alluding to one of their strong points to try to save their company image, which is gimmicky blasters. In August of 2021, Hasbro announced a sub-series consisting of 3 blasters called Flipshots. These blasters would consist of a gimmick where a barrel system flips or rotates to reveal another set of equal amounts of barrels, all Smart AR powered. The first of the series would be the Flipshots 8, and then shortly thereafter the Flipshots 16 and the Flipshots 32 would come out. These blasters had okay reviews. The Flipshots 8 was the one that was mainly revered as the best, if we had to choose the lesser of evils, I guess. You guys know me, I couldn't help it. I'm crazy about Smart ARs. I've rebuilt a whole bunch of them. You guys seen my Elite Junior Evo video. You guys have probably even seen the Tetrad video. I've teased on modding some specialty AR items like the Pterodact, maybe the Voidcaster. In some near future, we might see about that. But in this episode, I finally decided to catch up on a mod that I've been aspiring to do for a very long time, and it's definitely the Flipshots 8. I always like this blaster. I like the fact that it basically just has double quad ARs and you just flip from one to the other. It was simplified, it was streamlined, it was symmetrical. It was pretty much everything that I like about Smart ARs, but double with a very cool flip gimmick action. I like the hollow sight on it. I basically like the blaster for all it was. I just thought it could have a little bit more punch. I noticed that not a lot of people attempted to mod it for obvious reasons. I mean, it looks like something that will break just by opening it. Today, we're gonna explore my journey through modifying this blaster, the things I did to it, and the outcome consisting of a performance evaluation and my overall thoughts on the fun factor. Without further ado, let's get into it. All right, guys, in a nutshell, you basically pop off this panel right here. You're gonna have 2 screws right here holding this hub assembly in. The remaining screws are able to separate the rest of the body once you get those screws off. Basically, this half of the body is gonna come off. I've already separated the AR chambers, but basically this part comes off like this, and then these AR assemblies come off of this part. You want to maintain this area here assembled to the best of your ability because we're not going to touch anything on this half of the blaster. You want to move this aside. As far as the plunger system goes, as you probably imagine, since the priming handle is pulled from the bottom of the handle, the plunger system is indeed installed in the handle. It's a decent sized plunger tube and it provides air supply to the flip assembly through this clear hose right here. It's a pretty soft hose. I don't see a reason to upgrade this to like stainless steel braided line or anything like that. I mean, I come from a car modding background. Usually when it comes to hydraulic systems or brake systems, we do upgrade rubber lines to stainless steel braided, but I don't find a need to do this at this particular time. Maybe a thicker steel reinforced rubber hose maybe in the future if we get our PSI that high, but I don't find a need for it right away. What I think our resources would go better to is maybe a larger plunger seal and a stronger spring. This spring is pretty compressible. As you can see, I can compress it just with my hand. It is a pretty common size. I find it right between the size of a Firestrike / Volt, which I'm very familiar with, and some of the bigger chambering blasters such as the Retaliator. So I'll be sure to find a better spring than this. Here's where we get into the deeper meat and potatoes though. These AR assemblies are solvent welded together, and you know we gotta get in here so we can take that dart post off. After some motivation, you really want to get a small, very thin metal budger in between these sides. Make sure you don't go as far as to cut into the final AR here, as I mistakenly did here. I'm gonna have to do some epoxy repair work. However, the main challenge is getting them finally apart. As you can see here, I also cut part of the spring off. I'm gonna have to eventually replace this spring, maybe with one from a claw or a fang, which I do have plenty of for this particular purpose. Luckily, the ARs are pretty straightforward and they can be resealed. So as long as you recondition these surfaces so that you achieve a really good air seal again, I recommend hot glue, but you can also use some epoxies if you want more of a permanent solution. Otherwise, what we're gonna do here is what we do with all our quad ARs, pretty much all of our brass barrel projects. We're gonna get our center punch and we're gonna punch a hole right in the center of each AR. This dimple here is going to serve as a drill pilot for drilling out our dart post. Now, drilling out the dart post is more of an airflow advantage rather than not being able to shoot a certain dart or just to shoot short darts. Yeah, shooting short darts is cool. You do have to ramrod each of them in once you brass barrel this, but you just get much better airflow when there's no obstruction, when that little wall is not there. is just a lot more air pushing on that dart, especially when you're dealing with a 4-shot AR. So we're gonna dimple all 8 of these dart posts. We're gonna drill them out. And then of course, you know the routine. We're gonna drill each barrel out to 1730 seconds so that we can brass barrel each one of these barrels. There's gonna be a total of 8 of them. And once we're done with that, while we're at it, we're also gonna come up with a solution to protect our brass barrel. Not only is it safer for not corking people like it was mentioned in the live stream I think I had back in February with maritime foam, but also because it just looks cool and it protects the actual barrel itself. Quite a little bit of work to do here, guys, but I'm pretty sure with your help, we're gonna get through it. I know that mod videos are not the most popular videos on the planet, but I do them because I know that they're important for the community. They're fun to make, I know they're fun to watch for you guys, and I know that you guys benefit from the knowledge gained in these projects, especially when dealing with some bizarre blasters that nobody wants to touch. Like the Elite 2.0 Flipshots 8 or any Flipshots platform for that matter. I got some work to do. We'll come back with some camera magic. Let's get to it, guys. All right, guys, we got our pre-cut barrels, 4 for each side, and we have our barrels cut out to 1730 seconds each. Now, as I mentioned on previous quad Smart AR builds, such as this one, it is okay to just go ahead and traverse the entire barrel with your 1730 seconds. These little valve seats right here are specifically formed to seat the valve, which is a wider diameter than the barrel, so you will not be in danger of losing your AR system. Now, the next step is crucial for this, however. When you do hammer in these barrels, you got to make sure you set a stopping point. These barrels are semi-transparent when illuminated with a strong light behind them. What I like to do is hammer a little bit, put a flashlight, see where my barrel's at, hammer a little bit more, put a flashlight. I usually like to end up placing the barrel all the way up to where this little step is right here. I'll bring the barrel to the camera so you can see better. This little step right here, that's about the height where I want to put my barrel. I already did the measurements and I have plenty of clearance for the rotation mechanism to clear the elongated brass barrel as this system comes around. So I optimize the lengths of the barrel for that. We're going to hammer each brass barrel into these plastic tubes and then proceed to the next step, which is resealing these ARs. Upgrade the spring to Fang springs. You guys know the gist. Let's get to it. All right, guys, we got our rebuilt AR modules back together. Just got to shave a little bit of excess sealing glue off of those. And now we're going to work on our plunger spring. Now, I really don't know which springs are which anymore. I just literally have a box full of spare springs, but luckily I found a spring that is exactly the same diameter and length of the factory one. However, this spring is much stiffer. That should help with the new required performance of pushing darts out of sealed barrels. We're going to put this thing back together. If we achieve some kind of successful performance out of it, then we're going to go ahead and proceed with our barrel protector building out of these old Fang barrel units, and then cover these with aluminum. You guys already know the routine. You see my Elite Junior Evo video. Let's get it, guys. All right, guys, a quick functionality test before we put it back together. We have our 2 pieces and our central assembly together, and it looks like we have full clearance. I measured this beforehand, but I made sure that this, which is the barrel that sticks out the furthest primarily, is able to clear. And I also left myself plenty of clearance, about a quarter, about a third of an inch there, for when we put our barrel protectors on, which are going to be way wider than the current brass barrel there. There's still plenty of clearance. Another thing I wanted to point out, which I thought was really cool, as opposed to most Elite 2.0 plungers, this plunger actually has an O-ring instead of just a plastic skirt that fits inside of the plunger tube. I thought that was essential. I'm pretty sure Nerf took that route because they got a lot of stuff going on here. And then the more that they can reach a positive seal in this area, the better it is for a blaster like this. It also has a built-in plunger pad. I really like these stock pads. They work really, really well. I know a lot of people just fill the plunger up. We might end up doing that for more seal if we have an issue with this, but I do like this dual prong plunger head protector. It is very effective for what it's meant to do. Like I said, we're going to do a test firing. If all is well and the ARs function at least 50% of how they're supposed to, can't expect any perfection because these were solvent welded and we did destroy them to rip them apart. So if I can get at least the first through second barrel to fire really well, I'm going to proceed with barrel protectors and then continue working on this prototype. But for now, for the video's sake, we're gonna make sure this works before we go to the next step. Let's get it, guys. All right, guys, our Smart AR hub has been fitted with these plastic protectors. We got our aluminum pieces ready to go on these tips. I kind of like how that looks as well. That's pretty cool. But ultimately, these aluminum tips will fit over this plastic shroud. The main shell is off to the paint shop. I'm gonna fit these aluminum pieces on, give them a final polish, obviously, before I do that. Let's get into it. And there you have it, guys. can see, guys, this thing hits pretty hard. It's a blast to operate. As usual, when rebuilding these ARs, there's always a few challenges, and there was a little bit of an issue trying to get the very last barrel at the bottom to fire even at Nerf par, but I think that is just a product of the brass barrels demanding a lot more air pressure, and it's just too big of a network of air having to travel through multiple chambers. I mean, we have the initial plunger tube, and then we have a hose system that it takes you to the air diverter valve, and then you get to the AR, and then the AR itself has all these multiple chambers where the air has to get through. So it only makes sense that on a smart AR system, sometimes the tighter you have your breech, the more performance you're going to get in the first couple barrels, but the more drastically lower performance the last couple of barrels are going to be. So that's kind of expected. Guys, big giveaway at 4,000 subscribers. All you have to do is subscribe to enter. Comment down below. Let me know your top 5 favorite blasters. I don't normally ask this in my videos, but I'm kind of curious. What blasters are y'all crazy about? A friend of mine gave me an idea recently about making a video about my top 5 blasters. I think I'm going to split it up into several categories because it's just a lot, even to talk about in an 8-minute video. So you can look forward to that video. You might also want to follow us on Instagram. We post a lot of exclusive content on there that we do not post to YouTube. Other than that, if you enjoyed this video, you're definitely gonna like this one. I'll catch you on the next one. Stay blasting, foam fam.